speaking. I am so pleased to be the MC today to such a marvelous man, and I can throw in a few puns around Marvel because I did. Did you like that?
Dave, I thought it was very clever. Well done.
Yeah, I wasn't actually planning for it. It was just ad lib. But Dave is a mad Marvel man as well, and showed me a bit of an Iron Man mask before this session. So he is a marvelous man in Dave. Oh, there we go. But thank you for joining us for day 2 of our 30 minutes to boost your week. Now, we created this session because we think that, you know, what's happening at the moment is a little bit unprecedented. Oh, I can't even say that word.
Even unprecedented.
Unexpected even. So what we thought would be really great is just to add a bit of external chitter-chatter, talk, coffee, conversations, and some skills in there as well in 5 totally different areas to be able to help you out for all of this week. So we hope you're enjoying them. If you were here with us yesterday, I spoke all around disrupting mindsets, especially in these days, but also how to actually do it ongoing when COVID's not around and you're facing any type of crisis or decision making. So before we get started into today's presentation, I just want to ask you a few questions. It worked really well yesterday and I'd love for us to do it again today, but I'll ask you a different question today. So first off, tell us where you're from again, because I think that's really important. Give yourself a bit of an intro to say what city that you're from is probably enough. But also I want to know, what time did your day start this morning? Are you making the most of sleep-ins? I know that for me, the days now that I have to get up and do my hair and do my makeup and actually put on corporate wear, I struggle a little bit. I don't know how I'm going to go doing that 5 days a week once isolation finishes. So tell me, where are you based? What time did you start your day? And are you making the most of the sleep-ins? Oh, Mitch is in a caravan. I'm jealous. Leaderville, Northbridge, 7 a.m., 7:30. Impressed. 6:15 with the dog walk. A wet dog walk today. 7 a.m., 5:45. Oh, Brian, you win 4 a.m. Brian's been up since 4. That's quite impressive. I was up probably about half an hour before this event started. 7-month-old. Well, that makes sense.
Hey, Prasad's here. Hey, Paul.
7:30, Sorrento. Fantastic. It's a late one. So there is a real opportunity at the moment, isn't there, to have that little bit of sleep in and change the way that we work, which is fantastic. With no commute there, we don't really have to worry about that. So keep the conversations going in the chat. And the reason why we really want it to happen is that from a speaker's point of view, it's very different to actually deliver a presentation or a talk through Zoom, in the fact that we can't actually see your body language. We can't see if you're sitting there thinking, you know, what we're saying is crazy, or whether it's good, or whether you're laughing at our dad jokes, or whether you're cringing. So the only way that we can tell engagement in a Zoom like this is your comments in the chat room. So we'd really encourage you just to put some comments in there. If you have a bit of a laugh, or you think something that Dave said is absolutely brilliant, pop it in there and let us know. It gives great feedback along the way. So I did mention earlier on, but I know that there's some more people on now as well, that there is a really quality crowd that is attending these webinars this week. And I would strongly encourage you to use it as a proper networking opportunity. I know there is so many Zooms that we're actually dialing into at the moment, and it's hard to even know who is on that Zoom, and networking becomes quite a challenge. But use the chat room as a network as well. And if you see some names pop up, please go and look for them on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, wherever you like, and tap in and actually get to know them at the same time. As I said, high quality. If we were in a room together, it would be the ultimate networking event. So please make the most of it online as well. If you do have any questions, please pop them into the chat room, same as yesterday. We will answer 3 questions at the end of the session. Any questions that we don't get to, the speaker has committed to actually getting back to you as well. So if you have questions for Dave that we don't get to by the end of today's session, Dave will come back to you personally and give you the answer to that. I'm trying not to be distracted by the chat room comments at the moment.
You keep going. This is fascinating.
And Dave laughing. I'm not sure who Tony Stark is.
Oh my God.
Oh, look, I'm disappointing you with Marvel. Is he Marvel?
He's Iron Man.
Oh, is he Iron Man?
Amy, get out. Get
Okay.
out.
I'm
Come back
really
in when you've studied Marvel and you're allowed back into here.
On that note, I'm going to get this started. So let me give you a bit of an intro on Dave and not on Iron Man. Okay, our second speaker is the wonderful, or I've changed that to the marvelous Dave Clare. Dave Clare is CEO and founder of Circle Leadership and ambassador for the Global Company Culture Association. Dave is a practitioner of purpose-driven leadership, a leadership coach, speaker, and the author of the book Simplified. If you don't have that book yet, check it out. Dave helps leaders evolve themselves and their businesses to stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people they serve. Please give me a massive warm welcome for Dave Clare.
All righty. Now, am I on the screen now, or am I? I don't need to share anything now at this stage, do I know? We're good. All right. Before we get started, I've got a presentation I want to quickly run through with everybody. And I was saying to Amy before we jumped on here that, I've flipped and flopped about 4 or 5 different times to work out how best to see what I could bring as much value to this quality group of attendees here. And because it was such an eclectic mix of employers and employees, having looked through the list, I wanted to see if I could find a sweet spot that might appeal to both. But I also wanted to make sure that this presentation that I just want to share with you today is not another one of those, here's all the tactical things that you should do about daily huddles and how to have fun on your Zoom meetings and, make sure everyone's wearing their corporate shirts to get this cultural feel going. I wanted to look at a much more higher level and conceptual level about some concepts around the fact that what we used to call the future of work has actually now been thrust and forced upon us. It's just work now. And so I really wanted to share some stuff around that and talk about some new concepts and hopefully to help people see some of the things they might need to, if they haven't started to embrace already, to start embracing and bringing into their world of work as soon as possible. So I'm going to share with my screen here with you guys. So let's just hopefully that we trialed this at the beginning and it should work fine. Hang on. Let's share the right screen. There we go. So, all right. So I can't see anybody else anymore, but hopefully you guys can see my screen now. Bring up here so I can still see the group. All right. So what I want to do is go through, oops. We're having technical difficulties here. Yeah, so why is it not sharing my presentation? Hang on a second, guys.
David is sharing it. So if you just want to hit your share screen again. Yep, it's bringing it up now.
Is that it there?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, okay. It wasn't showing up on mine, so apologies, guys. All right, so I want to go through this. And firstly, I want to start off with just some of the thought process that I've personally gone through in terms of this and working with my clients and how I've been certainly helping them bring this future of work into reality today. But I want to make sure that we all understand, firstly, that we are in our generation's most uncertain of times. Like predictability is out the window. It was already out the window before all this pandemic actually happened. But I really challenge people to understand that this should be the most exciting of times. And the reason is because there's no opportunity in predictability, but there's tremendous opportunity for us in uncertainty. And it was in these uncertain times, it's really important to remember that bad businesses will not exist. Good businesses will survive this, but great businesses will evolve because of this. And it's really important to understand that and looking at how our business is going to be structured and how we're going to work together going forward and how we're going to keep all our culture in possibly a remote working world that may, and Amy and I were talking about this before, is that the way we used to work before, that reality no longer exists. So we might be going to full forward or we might be looking at a blend of what we used to and what we're doing right now. But it's important to understand that. But 3 weeks ago, it was my birthday, and I wrote this down to myself on a piece of paper here in one of my journals. And I wrote, Dave, what you think matters, what you thought doesn't matter. Your personal and professional biases are no longer relevant, right? Because it's really important that we understand that the beliefs that we had may have served us at the time. We had those for a reason. But in this, you know, the world that it is today, and there's a lot of people saying, oh, how the world's changed. And I don't think the world's changed. I think it's been redefined. I think the world changed about 15 or 20 years ago with the whole advancement of the internet and various other things. But right now, because of this, it's redefined the world for us. So if we're moving into a redefined world, we need to also look at the way we think about things, because what we used to think about is no longer relevant. So it's really important to understand this as a premise as we look at moving into the future of work. And one of the things Sheila and I were talking about the other day is that how B grade is now A grade. And if you look at YouTube, when YouTube first came out, what it allowed us to do is to promote our businesses in not having to have high-end commercial value type productions, where a simple video we could use to promote our businesses. And so the market started to accept lesser quality in terms of these TV commercials to create videos about our business or the services or the values we could bring to the market. And it's almost like right now that, you know, one of my own personal professional biases about working with my clients or working with my team is that if I used Zoom to do one-on-ones, it was kind of like a B grade option. Face-to-face was A grade. But now the market is receiving that and going, hey, you know what? This is really cool ability to do this. So the market's now accepting what would be deemed as B grade is now A grade. And so these are, once again, my own personal professional biases about my business, the way I interact with my team, the way I interact with my clients, has all had to be shifted. I've had to redefine that thinking because the thinking I had no longer serves me in this world. So the stuff I want to share with you through this morning, please understand that this is not just stuff that I've made up. This is actually like from research, from case studies that I've done. It was about 2 years ago, I did a case study of 25 business owners and leaders over a period of 4 months. I was in their kitchens, in their engine rooms for a whole period of 4 months, and to find out what the challenges they were having in terms of their culture and their strategy, and succeeding in a world that was evolving back at that time, pre this pandemic. And in that case study that I did, I found that there was 4 common challenges. Every business had their own sort of challenges, but it was funny enough, there was 4 common challenges that every single one of those businesses had in terms of working with their culture and their strategy of their organization. And funny, just think about it, the very first one was an absolute lack of alignment of culture and strategy. They weren't aligned. The second thing that they were challenged by was that they had no clear goals or expectations across their organization. And, you know, so when you think about that, so there's no culture and strategy alignment, there's no clear goals and expectations, there was no accountability, and there was a lack of leadership depth and strength in their organizations. So those 4 common challenges were in every single organization of all the 25 leaders that I dealt with over that 4-month period. So I sat down and said, well, how can I help these organizations, you know, deal with those things? So the result was created a process to help them to evolve to stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people they choose to serve, which allowed them to create a culture and strategy alignment. It allowed them to have an innate focus on what matters most. It actually allowed them to build a culture and brand relationship, and also to help them bust the myth that execution is hard. And when you think about that in this current world now and going into this post-pandemic world, whatever that may look like, this is still going to be absolutely critical for organizations to make sure you have that culture and strategy alignment. You are totally focused on what matters most. You have a culture and brand relationship, and that you understand how to execute in your organization. So what I wanted to share with you then is on how to lead an invincible culture remotely, because I still think that we're going to do some work remotely beyond this. And I would encourage people, business owners, leaders who might be watching this, or even people who are working from home now. We weren't allowed to work from home in a lot of organizations because we didn't trust or we didn't know how we could do that. But all of a sudden, we've all been thrust and forced upon us to actually have to work from home now. And guess what? Oh, we're finding ways to do it. How cool is that? So the question is, when we're allowed back out of our rooms, are we going to be going back to the way it was, to a reality that no longer exists? Or are we going to find some blended solution of the ability to work from home, work from the office, you know, going forward? And I would hope that we're going to do that. And we need to understand then how to continue to lead that culture, either in face-to-face and or remotely. So a couple of things I wanted to share in that is there's 4 key things that every organization needs to have, whether you're working remotely or directly with people in your office. and that is you need to have a clear sense of purpose. What drives your business? Why does your business exist? What are the values of your organization? How are we going to enable our team to make smart decisions? How do we uniquely think about solving that problem in terms of the purpose that we see in this world? And I'll move to these questions here because this is easier to look at. And then the vision is, what is the world going to look like when we've been solving this problem with this purpose through the lens of those values over the next 10 or 20 years? And then after that, all we have to say, well, then who do we need to become as an organization in the next 3 years to start creating that world that we see? And this is certainly a process that I've taken all my clients through, but I would challenge all of you right now, if you don't know how to answer those questions about your own organization or the one that you're working with or for, go find the answers to that, because these will be the 4 critical questions you need to be able to answer to lead or build your invincible culture in this current world and beyond. Every single person in the organization should be able to answer these 4 questions the exact same way. And even in this remote world, this would be even more important because everyone's sort of distant from each other, although we're connected now. It's kind of funny how humanity is brought back into the workplace by the use of technology. But we need to make sure that we can all answer these questions. So I'm not going to go through a process in terms of how to do that, but I would challenge all of you to go find the answers to these questions if you haven't got them already. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is by Buckminster Fuller here. And it's like, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. And I think if nothing else right now, our existing reality is the way the world was. If you want to say, if you think we're going to change it, you need to create a whole new model right now. Going forward, it's not saying, okay, well, let's take that model and digitize it and to here. I'm challenging every single person in terms of leading an invincible culture in a remote world, is that you need to change the whole model, create a whole new model that makes your old model obsolete. This is paramount for people in business right now, because there is an evolution at work. So when I did that case study 2 years ago, even before that, 6 months before that, which led me to do the case study, you can see in this slide here, there's a whiteboard, it's a flip chart that I've actually posted on, I've got stuck up on my wall in my office here behind me. I started writing out, what is leadership in the new world of work? And what are we going to need to know and be prepared for? And you can be the judge of all these things that I wrote down. But I felt in an evolution at work that we need new organizational models. That people would be looking for coaches, not bosses anymore. That they're looking for employee experiences, that the employees want to have an experience in the workplace. That we need to be leveraging new technologies. All right, and that we also need to make sure that in our organizations, we're building autonomous teams, we're nurturing new leaders, and we're focusing on high value activities, that our people are doing work that matters. I wonder how much of that is relevant in this world right now today. And once again, it's easy to predict what things might be. It's a different thing to act on them. So this is certainly something for me that I've challenged myself on, to be more for the people that I serve, because I knew this 18 months ago or 2 years ago or even longer, that this is the way the world would be heading. I never knew it would happen this fast, this significantly, this scope, this scale, but I knew that this would be the future or the evolution of work. Because the future of work is actually here. Okay, it's really important to understand. And this slide here, I just share with some of the concepts where the shifts that I see are happening in the world today. And that is, we're going from businesses driven on profit only to creating a business that is actually purpose first. And that's, there's nothing wrong with making a profit, but it's about understanding that people get engaged by purpose. So we need to make sure that our businesses are built on purpose first. And not only people in terms of our team, but our clients are engaged by why we do what we do. And that we have to shift from this concept of just having a business model, because I'm a firm believer that every business model has a shelf life. My question to you, and a lot of people are starting to realize this right now, is, has your business model expired and you just didn't know it yet, or you know it now? And we need to move from a business model to building a model business. And very quickly, a business model says, here's how we make money, we'll do good with that, and we'll repeat that. Whereas a model business says, hey, let's just do good first, make money from doing good, then let's do even more good with that, and let's repeat that cycle. Then we also need to shift from having culture and strategy to be seen as two separate things to creating a culture and strategy alignment, where culture and strategy, like, to me, I believe that strategy is born from culture. They're not two things. The way we used to think about strategy was built on how do we generate so much money for our business, and that culture was sometimes seen as a strategic objective, where culture should be the overarching thing, where it actually creates our strategy. So strategy is born from culture. And as I talked about earlier, that about the employee experiences, people want coaches, not bosses. I would challenge you to coach and facilitate your team to achieve their objectives, to become the best that they can be, to achieve the best the work that they can do, because your clients deserve everybody at their best, which includes you, the leader, if you're one of the leaders. And then the last thing I see that is happening is that the shift in organizational models, that we need to move from this hierarchy, or whatever I would call an ecosystem, to more of an ecosystem of leadership, where we have networked and autonomous teams where they're independent, but they're interlinked or interconnected with each other. And so this is the future of work, and it's here now. So one of the things as I get towards the end of this, I want to share with you is my definition of leadership, which is really important when you think about building your invincible culture, is that leadership's all about helping other people become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while they're in your care and beyond. And that means caring about your people as human beings first, employees second. And it's quite fascinating, as I spoke to a lot of my clients, how the first thing they did was take care of, obviously you put your oxygen mask on first, but they took care of all their team to make sure the teams were safe and secure and everything like that, and got them all set up, in terms of getting them to work remotely and make sure that they were safe from everything that they needed to be through this, got the safety protocols in place. And they actually just cared about them as human beings first. And not to say that they hadn't in the past, but I wonder how many organizations didn't care about their people as human beings first, employees second, that they just saw them as employees, as a mean to an end, or as a resource to achieving the goals of the business. So really understand that this is what leadership's all about. So if you want to build a culture in a remote working world, what are you doing to show that you care about your people as human beings first? Which you should have been doing in the world before anyway. And understand that this top-down leadership is a thing of the past. All around leadership is the way forward. Tom Peters said, leaders create more leaders. So if we want to work from a remote point, how do we help people demonstrate more self-leadership and take initiative? And this is where we talk about those autonomous teams and coaching them to become the best that they can be. So we want to make sure that we get rid of this top-down leadership, I'm the boss, you're my subordinate kind of thing. We're all networked and working together now. And it's really important to understand in an organization that everybody should answer to something first, not to someone. And in our organizations today, in this remote working world, this gets back to that whole sense of purpose. If people don't know why they get out of bed in the morning to get into their, they don't even have to get out of bed, they just walk down the hallway now, which is kind of cool. But they still need to have that sense of purpose or motivation to come to work or get into the office and start working. And so as a leader, I would challenge you to make sure that you're helping everyone in your team get a personal connection to this public sense of purpose of your organization. If you're an employee, go find out or if you're not sure what the purpose of your organization is, talk to your leader about it. Why does our business exist beyond making money? And then how does your role contribute to that? Because that greater sense of meaning will help you get more meaningful work. And I think that's really important for everyone's looking for a greater sense of meaning in their lives right now. And our job is to get work that is meaningful. And this gets back to that, doing high value work. Because we can get technology to take care of all the low value work for us, and AI and automation, and that should free us up to be able to do more valuable and more meaningful work for our clients. And then getting towards the end here, I want to share with you this whole culture and brand relationship. So when you think about culture, and this is I talk to people about, I call this business love. You need to make sure that you're driving business love right now. And as a leader, if you're not in love with why you do what you do, it's going to be very hard for you to get your team to be in love with why you do what you do. Right? And please understand once again that when people propose, if you get engaged to somebody and you propose to your partner in life, it's because you love them. So, people get engaged when they're in love. If we want people to be engaged with our sense of purpose, well, they need to be in love with it. So you need to be in love with why you do what you do, so your team can be in love with why you do. And then you speak that love to the market can respond in kind with love and get back to you and go, hey, we all love the work that you're doing for us, because everyone loves why you do, not what or how you do, because the how and what can and will change. So in this remote working world, what are you doing to show your team that you love why you do what you do? How are you helping them love why we do what we do? How are we going to speak that love remotely to the market? And then the last thing I wanted to share with you then is that getting all this together and then starting to execute on it. And it's what I call fast execution. So after studying all those organizations, I also did another study to find out why some businesses executed better than others. And it came down to 4 simple things. And those 4 simple things beautifully came out to be an acronym of FAST, which is focus. They have a clear sense of focus on what matters most. Accountability. They had a system of accountability. Who was accountable for what? They kept it all very simple, focused down on the 3 core things that mattered most in that particular time. And once again, keep the vision big, but keep the plan simple. And the last part was T, which was transparency. everybody could see what everybody else was doing. So in this remote working world, make sure that you're sharing and you're being transparent, that everybody can see what everybody's doing. As much as we want to make sure that our team are doing what they're supposed to be doing, the team needs to make sure that the boss or the leader or the coach or the facilitator is doing what they should be doing as well. So let's open up so everybody can see what everybody's doing. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. So if I stop share, I think that's right.
Thank you so much, Dave. That was amazing. There are so many Clarisms in there. It was so funny. But if I could just retrack a little bit on some of the comments that came through, especially. So Leon found the alignment very, very specifically with the company. He's working in a multinational company, and he said the 4 points perfectly described exactly what he's seeing as well. Lee thought it was brilliant. Maria, adaptability is definitely important. Absolutely. And I loved, Mark, actually, your comment around human beings to human beings. Very, very clever. So I loved that. I've actually got a couple of questions for you, Dave, a bit of a two-pronged question for you. Yep. If I'm a leader, and look, I loved the stuff that you were speaking about with leaders. I loved the analogy around it being engaged. For people to be engaged, they've got to have that love factor. And I also really loved the care, your definition around care and empathy with leadership. So the first thing, as a leader, if I've just listened to your presentation and I'm walking away today, what is the first step for me? What is my main focus from hanging up from this webinar today that I need to actually go into or look into and do?
The easy answer to that is make sure you can answer those 4 questions I put up earlier. Because if you can't answer those, you have your cultural framework is the first 3 questions, and then the 4th question, mission, in terms of who do we need to become or evolve into, is where strategy then starts to get born from the culture. So if you can't answer those 4 questions, how are you supposed to, as a leader, you don't understand why your business exists, you don't know how you uniquely think about solving that problem, you have no idea what the world looks like. Those are the 3 things that people are looking for: something to believe in, someone who believes in them, and someone that they can believe in. And then out of that, then we create the mission of who we're all going to work together to do. So you have to be able to answer those 4 questions. Go find the answer to those 4 questions.
Brilliant. And those 4 questions, Dave, I've just popped up for everybody there, Dave's website and also his LinkedIn Profit for Purpose page. Are they able to find those 4 questions on your website or on the page, or are you able to post them on LinkedIn for anyone looking for them if they miss them?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. They're not currently on there, but that's certainly, I can happily give that note. I would love for everyone to have those, because my hope for the world is that I could go into any business, speak to any employee, speak to any leader, and ask them those 4 questions, and I would get the same answer from everyone within that organization, and I'd be able to do that in any organization. Because that would show me, in terms of my vision for the world, which is I see a world where every business is led on purpose first. So I walk in and I go, hey, that's my test. Wow, you guys know your purpose, you understand why, everyone in your organization, my work here is done. I can return to my planet.
The Iron Man planet, but we won't go there. So everybody, if you're not already connected with Dave, please connect with him on LinkedIn, and Dave will put up a post around those 4 questions for you. The second question for me is, if I'm not an actual leader job title, if I don't have a team below me, and now I should say beside me, now we know that leadership skills it's not just a job title, right? It comes with everybody. But what are the main things? If I'm an employee, a team member, a peer, a co-worker, what is the first thing that I should be concentrating on walking away from your presentation today?
I would like to say, make sure you can answer those same 4 questions, that you found the answer to those 4 questions. Well, to me, I think that's, because if you understand it, one of the things I've challenged employees is like this is our moment. It's like a wake-up call. It's how many of you, I would walk away from this, how many of you are doing work that you love? And if you're not, and this has been here's your chance to start thinking about what, or either find some sense of love in the work that you're doing. Big Al, yes, I know you love all the work you're doing. Sheila does, yes. But if not, find a way to get connected to the work that you're doing. Would be the second, to me, definitely those 4 questions. You have to be able to answer those. But as an employee, because I remember being an employee in organizations, and I didn't leave because of pay. I actually took pay cuts at times to go to another organization to find more meaningful work. And I had to find that sense of meaning in the work that I was doing, because life's way too short. if nothing else, the world's just gone slap. All right, wake up, people. You know, this is your opportunity.
It is. It's a perfect time, right? And I'm hearing a lot of people actually starting to stop and re-look at what they're doing and find their whole love and their purpose again. So that is a great suggestion there. Okay, well, we have come to time before we let you go today. Thank you so much to Dave. As I said, he's absolutely amazing. And somebody rightly called out in there too, he is a top guy all around as well. So please connect with Dave and give him feedback on today's presentation. Tomorrow we'll be back at the same time. She'll will actually be presenting tomorrow, and he'll be helping us all with public speaking in a totally different environment. So through this whole virtual world, and I think he'll be letting out a few secrets or tips on his setup at home as well. So we can't wait to see you all back here tomorrow. And if you've got any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to any of us at all. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, I'm glad I went before Sheila, not after him.
Thanks so much, everyone.